That's okay, we got enough.
Do I need to do something over here?
No, because we can't. Something like that, slots.
Well, that's a good reason to have it.
Alright.
So we can't use it.
Good evening, everyone. We're getting ready to start an Opioid Abatement Committee meeting in June 15th at 5:30 at the Sumner County Administration Building. I'm calling this meeting to order. Jeremy, would you give the invocation?
Yeah, bless you. Let's pray. Dear Jesus, we just thank you for today. Thank you for this committee and all that you tasked us to do. And I pray that we have wisdom and discernment in making decisions that will help our community and help those who are struggling with addictions and try to get back on their feet, Father. And I just pray that you just break that cycle of addiction and poverty in Sumner County, and that you just bring your life, your truth, and healing to these people, that be successful citizens, and that be free generationally from bondages that they're entangled in. And just pray for your grace and mercy over us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is that a new thing we're starting? New thing we're doing? Pledge allegiance?
I
We've
do
always
it.
done it. Oh. I've only been a couple of them, so.
No, we always.
That's good. I've only done a couple of them. I'm fairly new here too.
Okay, we're gonna need approval on the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Recognition of the public. We have no one here.
Sure. So move to approve the minutes.
Approve the minutes.
So move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Report of the committee chairman. We had, we sent out the, the application, and people brought back, and we had some issues with the process. So we're going to be working on that tonight a little bit, but that's really all I have to tell you. I also requested that the Opioid Abatement Committee be put on the July Budget Committee to be approved as a standing committee, and then go to legislature as of September 3rd, so that would be a standing committee. Report of the grant account.
Currently, everything is still on track. We have not heard back from the state applications yet because we will get a response in January for those. In addition, we also have the end of this fiscal year, we'll have some money remaining, and at that point in time, at the next meeting in July, I will have those numbers for you all as far as the amount that was not spent, that we need to reallocate.
New business. Anyone have any questions? I'm sorry. Yes.
What happens when our term is over? Are we still on this committee?
No.
No.
We have the new commissioners will be seated, and that man right there, Matt Campbell, I told him one evening. He will be, if he wins his seat, I'm hoping he'll be on it because you guys have experience. I know there'll be, right now, 5 commissioners, and then we'll have the citizens seated, and they'll be voted. Everyone will have to be voted. If it's a standing committee, they'll have to be voted in through the committee.
Oh, that's right. It has to be all commissioners in the standing committee. No? Doesn't that?
Just the citizens would have to be voted by full commission.
So, is it, we get kicked off because of commissioners or because the time interval changed?
The
year is up at that point.
New 4 years. We can't be on.
Committee structure is changing.
And
Okay, so citizens will be taken off too, and new citizens or
well,
old citizens reappointed. It
Right.
has to happen. Okay.
yeah,
That'll happen September 1st.
yes. And if you want to be on there as a citizen, and you're not a commissioner anymore, you can submit your name to be appointed to the committee, if you want to do that.
I've requested to be appointed.
I appreciate that. You've done a great job. Thank you. So that we know about that. Any other questions regarding that? Okay. Old business, we already did that. New business, new grant.
We need to do it, grant cycle. Or is that what your report was? No, that's not my report.
I'm sorry,
So,
I've been busy all day out in the sun,
One question real quick. On this vacant position, who's
We
this?
need to add, that is a, citizen. That would just, well, actually, no, the sheriff.
But wouldn't it be someone from the sheriff's department filling this position?
I think that's in our,
By structure, it should be.
they wanted to do something, right?
Yes and no. So right now, if our bylaws get passed and we become a standalone committee, then, the sheriff's office is not on there because we gave the sheriff's office the opportunity, just like recovery courts and EMS, the ability to request funds. It was not in our bylaws, but it had to be sheriff's.
So can it be a citizen or does it need to be a commissioner?
Citizen.
Honestly, for 2 months, it's not worth it.
Okay, well, I just didn't know if
It's
we
just
had
not
to.
worth it.
fill it. Okay. All right, we don't have to, I was just
Not
wanted
right
to
now,
notes.
I mean, in September, though, if.
Buddy committee had to have somebody on for 2 months because Terry Boyd quit. They had to
Okay.
fill that one in.
I'll just put, okay, thank you.
We're probably not gonna have one.
Okay, old business. Grant cycle 4 applications.
So for grant cycle 4, we received 7 applications. Matt was smart with the substance misuse state committee as well as Commissioner Denham, the chair. And in reviewing all the applications with them, it was determined that there was not enough specific information given that would make us feel comfortable with you all being allowed to grade and review those. Especially for some of the positions, for some of the applications that requested positions, they were not tied to specific performance metrics, and so we would want to see that. Going back to the last round, which Mr. Taylor was a part of, we had one committee that actually asked for naloxone. This go around, we had another not-for-profit ask for naloxone. They did not contact roads. They did not show where exactly they wanted it or why the need was there. They asked for $100,000 worth of naloxone for a year. And so with that and a few other anomalies, I'm requesting for this round to not be considered and to re-advertise coming up. If you were to look at pages 224, 225, and 226, those are your overviews of applications that were received. So we had like Recovery Refuge that requested funding of $131,087. In doing so, he had a letter of support from the sheriff's office that his application did not mention anything else that would be needed. At one point in the application, it said that there was housing, and another side of the application, it said that he was working with not-for-profits. So there was some confusion there. The application itself, and this is where I'm seeking some clarification if you all decide not to go through these applications. There were 2 applications that used AI wholeheartedly on it, which did not make me or the state feel comfortable because in doing so, we want to make sure that the person that is submitting that application knows what they're talking about, even if some of it is wrong. They'd rather see that than something that was AI generated. That one I can tell you was AI generated because of the responses, and they did not use our application. AI filled out brand new applications for them.
Who was that?
That was Recovery Refuge. Recovery Court Inc. If you're looking at theirs, they put everything in the beginning phase, and they wanted funding for fentanyl test strips and training. They did not mention what would happen if somebody tested positive for fentanyl test strips, and we would rather see them work with the person than rather try to make it punitive. And so that was with their application. For the Sumner County Health Department, they were missing their audit form. For Cumberland Heights Foundation, we had some questions about it. This is the 3rd year that they've asked for funding for scholarships, and so they requested $50,000. At this point in time, Cumberland Heights Foundation has only spent down $15,000, and they received $50,000. So we would have a question of whether they'd be able to spend all of that or not, especially since this is their 3rd year of asking for that much money. Hope Family Health is someone that asked for the naloxone distribution and surveying for $75,000. So I take that back, sorry, I said $100,000 earlier. So we wanted to know, is this duplication of services? Did they reach out to roads? Why is there a survey needed? statement was made saying HUD will be able to maintain the core element of the program, providing harm reduction supplies to the public free of charge at a relatively low cost. And so that statement kind of raised an eyebrow at us because it contradicted itself, we felt like. Didn't say how much naloxone was needed, the price for each box, and then don't know which areas they chose to target in mind. Brave Haven Recovery asked for 100 grams. For that one, you'll see the application if you deny it, where we've changed a little bit for it, strictly because the letters of recommendation were not on letterhead. So they had 3 letters of recommendation. One of it was from their chair, who had it on his business's stationery. You had another one that represented a not-for-profit but was not on stationery and did not mention the not-for-profit by name. And the third one was a person of unknown stature, so we don't know who that person was. And it was apparent AI was used in because it created a section called suggested grant narrative language. And so, once again, that was a cause for concern. And then last was the Prevention Coalition. They asked for funding for their established positions, but as I mentioned before, there was not a direct correlation of the performance metrics to the position. And so just based on the applications, though, they're great, and I know we want to assist people, especially those with opioid use disorder. We probably want to suspend these or deny these applications and turn around and look at the new application that was written with the state's input on it and move forward in that fashion.
So this was all of them,
Yes, sir.
and they all had issues.
They all had issues in some form or fashion. We had 2 applicants that showed interest, one being the school system. I did reach out to the school system. They were not necessarily enthused with the target zones because they wanted their students to be counted as members of the target zone, even though the activity would be outside of the target zone, number 1. And number 2, if they were to have the special event, they wanted to use that morning's attendance record as everybody going to the event instead of saying, no, because some parents can choose not to allow their kids to go to such an event. And so we requested the correct number, and so they said they would decline. The second one was Hustle Recovery, and I'm still trying to work with their point of contacts because I'm having issues trying to get that document sent to me via email. Don't know exactly where the holdup is, but we've been in contact a few times trying to hammer that out.
I have a question. So, even though, like you went through these overview applications, I mean, are you requesting to just do away with all of them, or can we still look at one of them or 2 of them that are good for the community and have done what they said they're going to do in the past?
The recommendation from both SMART and from the Department of Finance is to scrap the cycle and start again. Let reapply. And let everybody reapply. There's not that much difference in it. There is a section, which I was hoping to get with Mr. Taylor, but unfortunately I wasn't able to, especially about the naloxone. We have a whole section now that's geared towards naloxone, which you'll see in a few minutes.
Okay, so they can reapply them.
Yes.
Okay, and just fix these issues.
Right.
Yes.
But also take in consideration the issues prior.
Right.
Because I only see one in here that.
When we talk about like that, the application and stuff, we kind of add some guardrails and things like that to the recommendation and SMART and overviewing what, it was kind of like, maybe they didn't have enough information, so benefit of the doubt kind of thing.
But we didn't use SMART last time, correct?
Yes.
Did we use?
We used SMART, but SMART was also in flux last time because there was a period where the State Opioid Abatement Council said, SMART cannot assist in certain rounds, and then the memo has gone out since then saying that SMART can. So there was a period where we could not use SMART
We
for
didn't use
whatever
SMART
reason.
on our last school applications.
Right.
So we have,
I think a caveat to use too is just how federal administration's changed a lot, which I know the state's adopting it. It would probably alter a lot of these.
Okay.
On priorities come from, especially harm reduction is no longer right.
So the harm reduction is interesting, I'm glad you brought it up. So harm reduction, technically, the current federal administration does not prefer that term. However, legally, we do have to use it because it's part of our settlement dollars. So it's in the court documents as harm reduction. So some of them are saying harm reduction or have the other verbiage in it with parentheses of harm reduction, so that way we stay in the grace of the courts as far as administering the funds.
Have we already, or do we plan on reaching back out to these groups to explain to them why they had shortcomings in their application, and give them a chance to correct it, to resubmit within the window of the timeline for submittal? And have we done that?
So right now we have not done that with the correction of submittal. However, due to the severity of some of the applications, it would be better to move forward with them. After review of the applications, we have deemed them none of the applications to move forward. This is what we perceive as some of the deficiencies in your application, and here is our new application with the time on.
Rather than to pick winners and losers out of this bunch, because we want to give more,
We want to give
and not
everybody,
exclude certain ones.
we want to give everybody the same chance.
Okay, and the other question I had was, you'd made a reference to, will that I was not understanding what it was for, but it may have been from a previous conversation. Can you explain what that was?
So last year, we had an applicant at the very end, ask for naloxone, and asked for a huge dollar amount. They did not state where they were wanting to target. Later on, they said they wanted to target certain areas, and part of Mr. Taylor's position is he helps with the naloxone distribution as a ROPES representative. And so he brought to the table at that conversation, you know, we need to be looking at certain aspects of training. We need to make sure that it's out there, and he wanted to use the correct assets that are already available to them, which they had not used, and they ended up withdrawing their application.
Okay, all right, thank you. Who's smart?
Substance misuse and addiction resource Tennessee.
That's right here.
Oh, okay, okay. And number two, so we're not changing our form any.
We're gonna have,
Oh, that's what we're gonna talk about, okay. All right.
any more questions? We need to vote, make a motion to
Make a motion to deny
deny
information
the,
and represent.
and deny and represent. We need to make a motion. Anybody?
Second. Second. Is there, I have a question, is there a timeline tied to that for what the window will be? You're gonna give parameters for it? This is all public information we're putting out right now.
It's in the next section. Should you all decide to, there is a calendar in here and other questions.
I'm just saying, does it need to be included in the motion or?
No, we just need to deny and submit, and then when we talk about the application, it'll be a public record, then they'll understand, and they'll get an email anyway,
Okay,
and, they'll know what they had.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm good for that.
You have a question?
No, I'm good.
Got a motion, and a second, all in favor? Anybody opposed? Okay, all right. New business. New grant application.
Okay, so we'll turn to page 228. See what we actually have in yellow. Once again, everything that has been, changes have been made. So you can see where about the program and the instructions of how to submit are now two separate areas. We've added main areas of concentration queries for Sumner County, selection of target areas for community outreach and prevention. Third area is the proposal with directions, beginning phase, middle phase, and end phase. Section 5 is the naloxone and Narcan one. Section 6 is providing scholarships and medical assistance. And then Section 8 is the final selection checklist. So if you turn to page 229, you have your aggregates, and it just says basically the aggregate is used as a threshold for an automatic presentation. It's found in Section 3, the proposal, and what additional information will be needed to be submitted. Page 231. So you have the instructions on how to submit. We have the main areas of concentration. Core areas for Sumner County, they use the core areas for an additional 10 points, is what I have assigned to it. If somebody has an area that's not on here that they would want to submit as long as it's under Exhibit E, they can. It doesn't penalize them, it just gives them a little bit more chance should they do a target for the core areas, which is supporting community coalitions and implementing evidence-informed prevention. Support workforce development and addiction professionals who work with persons with opioid use disorder. Next page is provide employment training or educational services for persons in treatments for recovery. Sorry, there's the word "or" on it, that should be taken out. Next one is support greater access to mental health services and supports for young people. The next one is funding evidence-based prevention programs in schools or evidence-informed school and community education programs. And last one is provide MAP and some medical assisted treatment education and awareness training to healthcare providers, EMTs, law enforcement, and other first responders. Our target areas remain the same. Next is the letter of support. Letter of support was added because it needs to be from letterhead from the organization that is submitting it, and the person must have authority to sign it on behalf of the entity. Artificial intelligence. Applications must contain original content developed by the applicant organization accurately represent its proposed activities and funding requests. AI tools may be used for spelling, grammar, formatting, and editing purposes, but may not be used to generate substantive responses to application questions. County reserves the right to reject applications that contain AI-generated narrative contents. You have the official application form that says they must submit it on the official application form. And then to the question about the timeline, this is the timeline. So June 25th through July 24th, proposals will be submitted to the Department of Finance. July 29th through August 19th, the comment is moved to the other area. These two proposals will be initially reviewed. Proposed questions to grants analysts for scoring. August 21st, scores are due to the grant accountants. August 26th, special call meetings to make recommendations. August 12th, that is the 10-minute presentation Q&A session pending committee questions. And so the game plan was, if you all wanted, you could make anybody who applies come in and give a 10-minute presentation. Or if you want to, you can stick on the other one, which is where we have the dollar amount threshold. Yes.
So this is where we're correcting all the mishaps on all the other applications. Is there a place in this timeline that you just laid out where we would give them the opportunity to correct something, or would that be done in that public meeting? Maybe ask the question, you would have to clarify or fix something right there.
You would ask the questions on August 12th.
Okay. And then they'd still have the ability to fix that.
Yes.
Wait, the 12th or the
August
21st? Where do you see the 12th?
That's your
Okay,
presentation.
that's your. Okay.
Okay, page 237, the yellow section is the section numbers. All of that is changed and they're all corresponding. And there's two mentions one on page 238. So if you go to page 240, question 1.8. During the application process, I'm reading this Westmoreland, so everybody was instructed to add it in the 1.2 sections, and it has been added here. 1.9 is a question that has been added in, which is how many non-Sumner County residents are served by your organization. Page 241, we added the clarifying line for the salary schedule that says for employees that are directly or indirectly involved in the projects.
Didn't we have this in the last one, though, that they had to, in the description, put what the salary was in the position?
Yes, but some of them were confused about, is this everybody in my organization, or is this
Just the money that's going towards the person.
or in some cases, if you are the president and you have somebody else tied that's doing the work, but you're overseeing them, then you would add the president on him.
Okay.
I already mentioned this, but, would we, think about maybe they need to put a column that says, background check approved, or, so we don't have issues?
We can.
For the organization? or the-
Yeah, whoever they're gonna hire, are they background check? I mean, makes sense to me, considering.
I think it just really depends on what services they're going after.
certain people may not pass a background check if they're working on this, in these roles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certain levels would have to, but certain may not, so that's kind of a gray area.
Because they hire them in recovery, so.
Yeah.
So no background check.
No, I mean, it's based on that organization.
The organization has to be on the up and up, but they're responsible for their people, I guess, at that point.
Because they hire within the program, so, I mean.
Good thought, though, I was thinking.
Good try.
Making sure county policy.
Okay, page 242, you had the demographics, both of them are different colors because one organization had difficulty understanding. One is for people that are working in their organization, another one is people who are receiving their services.
I hate to stop and ask a question again. But back to the application, Cumberland, they are not based in Sumner County, though, right? Cumberland Heights is not based in Sumner County, so.
So basically what happens is they requested, I'll tell you right now, they requested 50,000. Okay, so they've dropped down 15,000. Those 15,000 are tied to a number which I can't see, but our internal audit can, which will go out there and audit, and they're supposed to be connected to somebody who lives here in Sumner County.
Right, because we had that problem last year, that they were requesting the money, but they're not operating, they're not serving Sumner County, but then they might serve one person, or they talked about putting an office here.
Right. But for Cumberland Heights, I mean, if somebody here in the county wants to go, if they're at the hospital, say, I want to go for treatment over to Cumberland Heights, can you give me a scholarship? Then yes, we can pay for that.
So, they have gotten 50,000 total, 150,000.
They have 50,000.
Okay, and they've used 15,
Correct.
and
They have until the end of this month to draw down the rest of it, and if not, then it can be added to a future grant cycle.
okay, so it doesn't come back to us.
It will come back to us.
Oh, it does come back.
Yes.
Okay, and then we can add it later. Do they have to give an explanation why they haven't submitted?
Their last report said that they were running into some issues beforehand. Applicants that wanted the scholarship program, they had to set up as a true scholarship program, so you'd have to write an essay as to why you needed the funds. However, now because of the time frame and making sure that people can actually have access to the funds from Sumner County, as long as you can demonstrate you are a Sumner County resident, then you have access to the funds. So they cut down the application process. 243, section 2, no changes. The next change you have is on page 246, the proposal. So 3.4 and 3.5 have been broken apart a little bit more. And also there's a little bit more detail about 10-minute presentation followed by Q&A period, maybe requested before full consideration is given. Page 247, going back to the job duties. So if you're asking for a position to be subsidized, how are their job duties tied to the program deliverables that are being presented, and how will you separate funding for their job duties on this project versus normal activities? And we were not getting that information from them, so we've added that context. 248, what exactly are the county opioid abatement funds paying for in this application? Some of the applications we received were kind of vague. One of them was like fundraising to purchase property in Sumner County or a women's shelter. Well, that's great, but what kind of fundraising are you going to do? How are you going to achieve your goals? And so the specific portions were not in there that we wanted to see. And so that's why coming up here in a few more, you'll start seeing these specific a little bit more in the questions.
So how they have to create a plan?
They need to have plans. So page 249, identify the specific needs outlined in the county's assessment that this proposal is intended to address. Clearly explain how the proposed project directly responds to and meets those identified needs. Responses should be factual, concise, and supported by relevant data or program rationale. Do not overstate or exaggerate the need or the proposed impact. 250. If you're an agency providing direct care or treatment of opioid use disorder, please list the evidence-based practices utilized by your agency. Note, evidence-based practice refers to programs, interventions, or strategies that are supported by research, proven effective through evaluation and guided by data, professional expertise, and community needs in opioid use efforts. EPE includes approaches that have demonstrated measurable success in reducing overdoses and improving public health outcomes.
No question.
Yes.
So, just as an example, say, which one was that? 319, 320? Okay, 319, where it says 500 characters. I write a really nice response to that, but it's like 700 characters long. Can I put that into AI and say, please make this concise and use as much as my words as possible? What's going to kick it for you guys if they do that? Because a lot of people are probably going to do that.
If they do that, that's fine. The state does it in their applications. What we don't want to see is where they're putting in a statement saying, here's your suggested ways to run your program through AI, which is what an applicant did. Or somebody
You can tell because the language is just obvious. Okay.
Instruction.
Right.
Yes.
They had everything in there, not just a rewording of their words. Okay. At least proofread your AI.
And there's a word called succinct. Be succinct.
Yeah, and I know AI is good at making it that way, and I just want to make sure it was clear on the instructions you gave early in the meeting. You said really no AI, but what you're getting at is you can use it as a tool, not as a crutch to do your filling out your application. I got you. I want the public to understand that because that is very useful, and a lot of people do it now for that reason.
So the next one is, if you're requesting funding for drug testing, what's the process when an individual tests positive for substance use? Under this program, describe how the program will ensure that any positive results are used to support engagement in treatment, recovery services, or harm reduction supports, rather than punitive action, and how confidentiality and client dignity will be maintained. Page 251, under question 3.24, we added the word unknown because some of them ignored that section. We didn't know whether or not it was truly because they didn't know, or if they just didn't want being announced. This way, of course, it's going to select something.
Is this online form like this, or is this just like a document this is submitted, or?
This is online.
That means you have a card field, or?
Oh, they're all required fields, yes.
They just, how could they have not put that in there?
Sometimes it's easy to, all you gotta do is open, save, edit, and then you can change things.
It's a PDF.
It's a PDF, yeah.
Document PDF.
If you have a PDF editor, then we're doing that. Okay.
Section 3.25, if the organization believes this proposal addresses one or more Sumner County's identified core areas and or target areas, please explain in 1,000 characters or fewer how the proposed project specifically meets the designation being requested. Section 3.53, the proposed work plan is still the same, but you're going to see something a little bit different. And that is, if you're looking at it, we're asking for specific activities. We're asking for who's responsible for implementing each activity, the costs associated with each phase, and the expected results of each activity. If you're looking at it further down, we can give an example of how to fill out the phases. So the beginning one, and it goes all the way through, showing them how to actually do that. Then we hit the new one, page 263, the naloxone and Narcan section. So if the proposal contains naloxone or Narcan, they suggest they proceed. If not, they proceed with the next section. So 5.0 is the first question, which was mentioned last go around, is have you contacted the regional overdose specialists, prevention specialists, in Sumner County, in order to establish the need for and coordinate efforts for this proposal? And then if they haven't, we've actually given them 500 characters to state why they haven't. Will there be any naloxone-related training involved? And on the next page, will you be distributing naloxone through multiple sites in the county? And so list the sites. If not, list the single place where you're going to distribute it? What brand of naloxone will you be using? How much of the budget is going towards the purchase of naloxone? What is the cost per unit? How many units will you purchase? Should there be multiple applicants wanting to distribute naloxone, would you consider coordinating efforts with another not-for-profit and representative? Next page.
Who's the representative? Is that you?
No, that is not me. Mr. Taylor, do you remember her name? I'm losing it.
Joyce, I can't think of her last name right offhand.
Yeah, it's okay.
I have a question.
That was more question if it was you.
Oh, no, it's not me. Trust me, that's not my area of expertise.
You, 5.3, what brand of naloxone will you be using, and then, what is the cost per unit? Shouldn't we already know that, or is that gonna be something we run past known, suppliers to know if that's in line? Should we be helping them find the right suppliers?
This is to let us know who their suppliers are. There's some that if they go to Walmart, if they go to Walgreens, they're gonna get it at a higher price. There's some programs, for instance, when we set aside $50,000 to look at maybe hosting our own naloxone distribution and hitting target areas, should one come about during the fiscal year. When I reached out to Narcan, their representatives said that they would give it to us at wholesale cost. So it just depends on which avenue they want to go to.
So, when you're asking them what they're using, and they're saying Walmart, and it's $100 a pen or whatever, and we can get it for $35, do we even entertain that, or do we steer them towards a better source at that point?
We would be steering them to a better source.
Okay, so we could approve their, grant proposal or request, and then also steer them, okay. All right.
Well, we don't look at receipts or
Good deal.
anything to see if they're buying it at $100.
I mean, technically, they'd have to ask for reimbursement, so therefore, if you all tentatively said we're gonna do it, said, yes, we wanna move forward on this grant application, but we wanna put in a stipulation in the contract that says they have to go through the cheapest price, and at this point in time, it is X, Y, or Z, we could write it into the contract.
That's what I'm getting at. I wanna make sure we're doing it the most efficient way possible.
And for my knowing and everyone else, all this in yellow is what you've added to the application and what was not answered in the previous application.
Correct.
Okay, because I was thinking back, because I was actually looking at an application from last year's, and a lot of these are new questions, so that's why I just wanted to, just so everybody's clear.
It's clarification and addition.
This is all learning though, because this is all new, right? This makes
This
it
is all new.
easier and.
Everything in yellow is new questions that wasn't on our other applications.
Right. We revised it,
Like you said, the guardrails.
yeah, the guardrails, it will help. I don't know if you've ever, you know, like you had questions about Narcan and the different types and, you know, all that, and people, everybody's doing something different, so it can become very confusing, and we just wanna make this simple and easy, guardrails in, do it, and make sure that everything is guided towards saving lives.
I really like these new questions, just from someone who scored last year's. A lot of these, I had questions, these are some of the questions I had for the applicants, but they didn't have to be specific or say, you know, this information wasn't asked, so it's good. I like
I
this.
think it's a lot better.
This helps us too,
Yeah, it really will.
so thank you.
Not just me, Mary was part of it, so was Trevor. I mean, Will mentioned some of it last year, and I did not have a chance to incorporate it in, so, I mean,
Yeah, we
group effort.
really looked at it, and, you know, it will prevent other things too, if you think, outside the box.
I mean, like I said, just as someone who scored last year, I mean, I really like these new questions. Answers a lot of stuff.
So question 5.8, who will receive the naloxone, be specific and include how this population is identified as high risk. 5.9 is overdose response integration, how will recipients be educated on recognizing and responding to an overdose. How will recipients of naloxone kits be informed of additional services such as treatment and recovery. 5.10 is storage, security, and accountability. How will naloxone be appropriately stored and tracked for distribution? What are your secure storage procedures? Expiration, what is your organization's monitoring plan? naloxone will be distributed in a vending machine, be climate controlled. 511, for data tracking and reporting purposes, how we track distribution and usage. 512, for evaluation of effectiveness purposes, how we measure success of this naloxone distribution program.
Is naloxone or Narcan, is that very sensitive to heat or cool?
So what I had learned, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because it's more your house than mine. When I talked to the Narcan representative about what we were doing, they said they were the only ones at this time that were approved for certain temperatures and how they could exceed below the 32 degrees. However, there are ongoing trials for the other brands at this point in time, but there has been nothing concrete. But that came from their representative, so I'll have to turn it over to Will.
I think FDA just now approved Patagus brand to kind of at the same standard of Narcan brand, so.
Does it age out? Does it have a life?
It has a, it has a.
What is the shelf life?
So FDA approved, Narcan brand, it carries a 3-year shelf life. Patagus got a 3-year, but then some of the generics only carry a 2 years.
I didn't know you could go past 2 years.
Well, yeah, but I have a box in my car, I always carry my car, in case somebody has some.
So again, depending on the answer to these questions, is this where the steering's gonna come in? If they're doing something like, yeah, we did Vesicant, sometimes it gets burned up in the sun or too cold, we steer them towards the new brand or whatever, and we're gonna get involved in that. And then we got to also make sure that somebody is monitoring the expiration dates on these things too. Is that question in here for that, so they have somebody?
So for like right now, if you're looking at the Sumner County buildings, this body decided to AED stop leakage and naloxone and all. So part of her duties, Ms. White goes in once a month and she goes through there and makes sure the naloxone hasn't disappeared. If it has disappeared, she'll replenish it. She also has an expiration date. Her game plan is if it gets closer to the expiration date, that it goes to the health department for distribution, and then she purchases the new naloxone.
So is that requirement to have some similar type of plan gonna be in here, or is it already built in?
So we're asking for what their plan may be. They may have a totally different plan.
But something similar, they have to have a plan, it's actually requested in here, right? Okay.
And honestly, and I understand what you're saying, but honestly, I don't think these organizations will have Narcan in a vending machine for 3 years, because they're going through it so quickly. So that's risky. I don't think that's a problem, but I totally understand what you're saying because of expiration dates on drugs and stuff.
At least they're cycling it and making sure the new stock is, put to the back and stuff.
So to answer that, with Southern Prevention Coalition, their vending machine, they only put 10 at a time in there, and they do go pretty quick, but they're checking them as they put in. I mean, the machine, I think, will hold like 100, but they only put 10 to 18, and then every 2 weeks, I mean, they're about out. And then, so they're replenishing it so much, you don't have to worry about it running out. But it's also on that organization to make sure.
Well, just to be clear, the reason why I was questioning is based on brand and different. If we're steering towards the different ones, it seems like we should have questions in there on their protocol to know how to steer them. So that's the only reason I'm asking it. All that stuff's really deep and beyond. I get it. They need to have a plan in place. We can't be that specific, but probably have a plan.
They're regulated, wanting to ensure we're regulated. If you're using any medicine now, if you're gonna be buying it and you're dispensing it, like, you have to be responsible to do that. You have to health department licensing.
Is Narcan just a brand of naloxone?
It is.
Okay,
Brand
so.
Naloxone is the generic, Narcan is brand name.
I didn't know that, thank you.
Yeah, naloxone's the medication itself.
What other questions do we have?
Go to the next page, and then we'll get another question.
So now we go to page 268, providing medical scholarships and medical assistance. Same applies, basically, providing scholarships for treatment and medical assistance. Continue, if not, go to the next section. 6.1, describe the treatment and recovery model available to scholarship recipients. Indicate all that apply and provide details. And then next is, if the program incorporates faith-based services, identify which program components are faith-based, and whether comparable non-faith-based treatment options are available. Describe the average length of treatment and recovery support provided by the scholarship recipients. Explain the criteria used to determine eligibility for scholarship assistance. What percentage of scholarship recipients successfully complete the program? Provide supporting data from the previous 3 years available as an attachment.
Can I ask a question, right?
Yes.
6.2, if the program incorporates faith-based services, identify which program components are faith-based and whether comparable non-faith-based options are available. Why do we care to know if they've done the comparison on whether similar treatments are available that are not faith-based? Why is that? I would think I would care about that if I was a church trying to do a Celebrate Recovery or something like that.
You're on that side of the fence, but if you're on the other side of the fence, you may not want to go somewhere where they only do sole faith-based. So therefore, I was asking for an option. Do they have multiple options there in case somebody wants treatment at said facility, but they don't necessarily at this point in time want to go to faith-based?
So whether or not comparable non-faith-based treatment options are available at your facility.
Yes.
To me, that's a distinct clarification, because if it's at a different place, they're not going to care. Like, why would I answer that question? But if it's available at my facility, I need to know that I need to answer that yes or no, and which one's more preferable. Like, how would we weigh that? To have it, options of non-faith-based and faith-based at the church? That's how we would weigh that? They're not going to know how to answer that.
I don't think you would weigh it, because you can't weigh it.
No, I'm saying we're gonna make a judgment based on how they answer these questions, and how would we feel if they said yes or no to that question, that there are or there's not?
Well, there's several that are non-faith-based, and a lot of people, you know, I mean, depending on, you know, religion and stuff, so I mean, you really can't put a lot into scoring that, because if someone's not.
Then why is it on here? That's my point.
Well, because faith-based and non-faith-based, some faith-based offer more than non-faith-based.
You're missing my point, though.
But let's
This
look
is a
on the-
church that's offering a faith-based, and we're asking that church if they also offer a non-faith-based at their facility. What's their incentive to answer that one way or another, or to come up with a non-faith-based version of what they're already doing? What's their incentive? Should they? Should they not? Is it a waste of time?
I think the context falls back under the section of it, though, providing scholarships or medical assistance. So, for instance, Salva Center is considered faith-based, but they offer also non-faith-based aspects.
Okay.
So then we look at like Refuge. Refuge is strictly faith-based. Now, I didn't read their application, but I'm sure it was something to deal with scholarships. So you ask this question because actually now state law requires it, that a faith-based program working with, say, justice-involved individuals being released, everybody's motivated to get out of jail. So, hey, Refuge is up there saying, come on, we got a bed. Did they disclose it up front saying, hey, you got to go to our church, our meetings, this, that, and not outside community?
Because it may be the only game in town.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, yeah, and I think people want to hear that too, because that explains why they probably need to have that, because a church may be thinking down that thing, hey, what, ours isn't good enough? Do they really want to get cured or not, you know?
Yeah.
And
I think outside of the context of providing scholarships and medical assistance, you know, I would be more on like, why is this relevant to this section?
No, I get it. That's knowing that they're required to offer that, if they're working with a government entity on this, and that makes sense.
Okay, so now we're at 6.0. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Chad.
No, I'm saying thank you.
So 6.10, if participant earnings, stipend, savings, or other funds are held by the organization until program completion. Please explain how funds are collected and maintained, who has access to the funds, circumstances under which funds may be withheld, and the process for returning funds to participants. And that's geared towards mainly those that are doing work while they're in recovery. 6.11, if participant funds are held by the organization, a copy of the organization's written policy governing such funds must be attached by the application. 6.12, does the organization require participants to pay any fees, make donations, tithe, contribute labor, or incur financial obligations beyond the requested scholarship amounts? If so, please explain.
I like that question. Thank you for that.
Describe all licensed clinical services available to scholarship recipients and identify the credentials of individuals providing those services. Explain how the organization measures treatment success and long-term recovery outcomes. Describe the organization's process for responding to participant relapse during treatment. Page 273. Describe the aftercare, recovery support, housing support, employment assistance, transportation assistance, or peer support services available after program completion. 6.17, how has the organization, any affiliated organization, or any principal officer been the subject of a licensing action, sanction, suspension, fraud investigation, or legal action related to treatment services within the past 5 years? If yes, explain. 6.18, describe how opioid abatement funds will be tracked separately from other funding sources to ensure compliance with grant requirements. Next page, 6.19, provide the estimated cost per participant and describe how scholarship funds will be expended. 6.20, describe how the organization ensures that scholarship recipients are not declined treatment based on inability to pay. And then attachments to include for scholarships and medical assistance.
I think the 6.19 is important because they're now requiring hospital medical facilities to give you information on the cost of what the services are. That's a federal law. So now that's important that's in there because we're complying with federal law now because they require that. If you remember, the hospitals got letters, do this or you'll be fined. So that's good. We're on it.
I saw some of the regionals on final notice too,
Yeah.
not in compliance.
Yeah. Yeah.
A follow-up question to 6.2. Again, I was thinking about this. Should we, I saw you put an additional language on there at your facility. I appreciate that. But should we also put note you are required to have a non-faith-based option to receive this grant? Or you're highly encouraged to? What is the ruling? Is it truly a federal or state law that they have to have that? Because if it is, then they need to stop right there and say, this isn't for me, or we do have it, we can proceed.
So the law states it has to be just stated on the front end of it before somebody coming through so-called the threshold. Of it, that it is
Our
just,
program, that their program has to have it?
no, or just really defining, is it just faith-based or do they offer like sector and non-sector?
Right, the state just wants to know.
I'm saying, is it part of our judgment to make this? If it is, then we need to let them know it's highly encouraged that they do so, or that it is required to do so.
So let me give you an example. In home, like for example, home health, every patient has a right to choose whatever home health agency they want. Faith-based, non-faith-based, whatever. It's your right to choose that.
Sure.
Just an example. And so that's similar to what this says. Are you offering both options? Because you have an option to choose which one you want.
I get all that.
Right.
What I'm saying is, I'm wanting to apply for this grant, and I'm not offering a non-faith-based option. Should I proceed with this application, or am I automatically going to be denied?
No.
No, you should proceed, because I mean,
As long as they're a 501c3, that's the only requirement that I can make. So as long as they are willing to disclose their finances, and they're a 501c3.
Okay, I'm a faith-based place, and I do give both options, that non-faith. Ahead of everybody else that's just faith-based,
It's just,
or that's non-faith-based. I've got both.
it's part of the application for information. So it's kind of, it's not like we're going to be turning you away if you're one or the other. It's just information for the application, and it helps kind of give an idea of where all this, it's really kind of like, knowledge to know where things are going, who's doing what. Because if you apply for this and you have both, and we give you the funds, okay, we can say that Joe Blow's organization got money, but they have. So it's kind of more informational. I don't think it's not a rejection.
Is it just our reporting to the state on where we gave funds to? It's for our own metrics? Is that why we're asking it? Because they should be handling their own patrons, or not customers, but they're the people they're treating. They should be having that communication with them on what they have available, faith-based and non-faith-based, and let them choose. And if the state requires them to give that to that person, that's fine, but why are we wanting to know that is what I'm saying. Is it for our metrics to know that we can report where we're donating money to both? We did this many faith ones, this many non-faith ones, and this many that are both. Is it a good thing just to show where our money's going?
Right.
Is that the only reason it's here?
Pretty much is that, and you're also looking at the proposed project itself. What is the project that you're looking at? Is it only a faith-based one, or is it all-encompassing of everything? Because if you don't ask a question of what services or what a treatment facility or program looks like is Mr. Taylor, because he can tell you pretty much this is what they offer here, this is what they offer there, but as us as readers who are not as familiar with the recovery community like he is, this gives you a little bit more insight. So when you score under the project's information, you can say, you know what, they actually tell me what the programs are and I understand it.
So it is to help us better score it.
It's a better score.
It's to help us decide who
Yeah, but I mean,
gets
you
it, who
wouldn't
doesn't get it.
I mean, I can't say what you would do, but I mean, for me, I wouldn't be like, well, they offer both, so I'm gonna go ahead and give them an extra check.
Some people may not. Some people may want to stick to strictly non-faith, and some people may want to do faith-based only. I get it, and that's why I asked the original question, is it for us to score? And I know it's not for us as a community to score, but it's for us as an individual to think about for our votes, for who gets the grant and who doesn't.
It's for you to make sure that you understand the program itself.
Sure, yeah. That's fine. That answers my question. Thanks.
Is there a difference between faith-based and non-faith-based
Yeah.
process?
Yeah.
Yeah, they may sit and pray with them before they do this, and that person may not want to hear it. I get it.
Chaplain, things like that. There are services they provide that non-faith-based would. I mean, I don't know.
There's requirements for programs.
I imagine there are some people saying, I'd feel more comfortable with the faith-based, I'd feel safer, or I'd absolutely not want, I can see. So this is a statistics thing, really.
It's more preference.
More bang for your buck.
Right.
And who to donate to.
Right. At the end of the day, they'll have those metrics to.
Are we good with that question?
Yes, thank you. Sorry to keep going back there. I just want to fully understand it. It's not just a requirement.
It's okay.
It's
Why we don't do it?
an opinion too.
Section 7 did not change. Section 8 was added. That is the final submission checklist. This came about because one applicant did not submit everything. And so I had to reach back out.
So you have your AI agent check all these.
So basically, they have to go through, check everything that has been done, and then at the very end, sign the statement that says at the very end on page 280 that everything's been certified and that they have submitted everything at this point in time.
Do you need to put section 8 above submission package review or ahead of it?
Okay. Are you on page 279?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I would suggest and also saw recently on a doctor's form, all these doctors he had to check, and at the very top they had one that said, check all. Where they didn't have to sit there and do all that. They could read them, but if they check all, they better have read it. Just a suggestion.
Better they
Saves a lot of time. Read and check one.
Yeah, I know how people are. They'll just check the box.
Well, they don't get the grant then. I mean, if they mess up,
Sometimes you just gotta help them along.
there's a lot of checking.
Okay, with the manually checking,
Okay.
and we don't want to be wasting our time.
Okay,
at page 281, this is your score sheet, so you have your instructions at the top, and what the score is 0 through 5. Next page, on page 282, the core areas, I did add those in there to say that, you know, did they really meet the core areas that they said they were going to do. Page 284, you have additional questions. Did the applicant supply specific details regarding their proposal? And then we have finance, where I add up everything, and I'll be asking Caitlin or somebody to review on that.
There you go, Caitlin.
And that is it for the new application with all the changes.
Really good changes.
Ton of work.
But you fixed everything that was what
Well, you know, that's pretty good though, that we were able to, last year, we were able to score and release funds and help so many people without some of these questions and so be above the rest of everybody else in the state.
I think we're pretty savvy.
Is any action item for tonight?
Yes.
Do we have to approve any of this?
Motion to approve.
I just have one question,
Got a second.
and I ain't trying to throw a curveball at you, Dustin, but with the recent, legislation passed, that's going to affect our money here, are we still wanting to have the recommended aggregated amount, or what are your thoughts? Has SMART gave any?
SMART has not given any indication on that one, because we're still under the purview of the restricted funds that we'll be getting next year. But that was it at this point in time.
Yeah, you know next year's funds, though.
Yeah.
Or all.
28 for fiscal year 28.
Like, we'll get our payment July, but then going forward, yeah, we'll be hit an extra 10%. Which with the already decrease is the reason
I mean, this body can choose to hold funding back if they wanted to. I mean, we've held it back in the past for the major projects, so we could hold some funds back. It's just, we have 2 years to fund or to allocate and 2 years to spend. Total of 4 years to figure out.
What's Mr. Ed? Explain this for
Every
people that
year
aren't caught up with what he's saying.
Every year your funding increases, which means at some point in time, you're gonna get very little funds available. So if you wanna hold some funds back, or if we want to go ahead and just be done on it.
How long is it supposed to run before it runs out?
Originally supposed to be 18 years, but as we're seeing with our restricted funds, our less restricted funds, it's gonna run out soon. Rather than later.
It's gonna run out.
Plus, there was recent legislation that just passed, got signed. It's gonna take 30 million, 25 million is going to the department, a little over 4 million is going to TennCare. 10% is gonna be pulled each year from our pot here.
So that won't change the timeline, it'll just change the amount every year, right?
Correct.
But then also, you're looking at some settlements where the bankruptcies have come in, and we have yet to see a single dollar. Purdue was supposed to be hitting this year, and they have yet to address Purdue. And whether or not we'll be getting any additional.
Last year, we received a little over 900,000, this year we got 400-some thousand. So, I mean, it's not gonna last much longer.
But, so, and it shouldn't be forever. We're trying to solve an issue that was created by some people doing bad things, and sooner or later that issue should pan out to where all that malfeasance is gone and it's being run better. The line's gonna flatten out eventually. So we need to make sure that timeline is similar to
Prescribers
the
of
money.
the opioids are always on notice. I mean, I have a DEA number, we're always on notice. You know, the DEA will look at prescribers using high numbers on. And they audit, they follow, all that stuff. So you're right, that is correcting itself, but there are still bad actors. So, I think with the money, we're doing great work, but it's gonna take a long time to because people are still gonna be addicted.
Right, I just wanna make sure we're doing everything we can to make the money last as long as the majority of the problem lasts. And to his point, are we on track to do that? Is the trajectory gonna really kill this committee soon, like within a year or two?
And you need to make sure that your legislators are aware that we don't want our money taken away. We need to work with them to say, hey, baby, you know, we need this money for our county.
But don't the
Sorry,
judges are gonna override the legislators on that, right? That's all, depends on how the lawsuits shake out.
This helps the judges in their program, so they're gonna want this.
No, I'm talking about the lawsuits for the people that are settling out and the bankruptcies and things like that, when the money's gonna dry up, not the legislation, like.
Well, but what will happen though is they need, when I'm saying go to your legislator, your governors and all that, is that you need to talk to them about appropriating money for this kind of thing. Because we have a horrible mental health situation. Out. And what happened? They all got on the street, started doing drugs, and all this is where all this started.
So you're talking about backfill when the shortage does come, because all the lawsuits are over, backfill it with actual legislation that funds the committee.
Reevaluate what your programs are and what your needs are in your state, not just, you know, let's give, I don't know, just quit wasting money on stuff. Just stuff that stays.
To backfill,
And
maybe get a movement come along with other counties and things like that, but that's why I wanna see how far out that is.
Don't wait too long.
Yeah,
Because you need to get ahead of it and start working it. Because if you don't, you know, you don't wanna wait till the money's almost gone. It's like, you know, I know my house, I'm poor and I know my house is, payments are coming, I'm behind, but I'm gonna wait till the very end, no, it's down. Well, I'll try to pay. No. We need to work, we need to market our legislators now.
Do we have a guarantee right now of how long it's gonna last?
Right now, initially, when they started the program, they had dates.
So we got 5 years right now, maybe longer, but we got 5 years.
But there was a recent bill, that piece of legislation that passed, like I said, and it's written in statute for 10 years. So, I mean, you're looking at 30 million. The biggest chunk comes out of the state side, but 10% at county levels.
So another 6 years then, based on new state law, that you know that this committee will be existing. Is this interesting? So what happened is with the lawsuit, we've had so many companies go bankrupt.
Because it's already set a precedent.
That's why there's no more money, and so the state is going to take tax dollars and backfill it to make up the difference.
I don't know that.
Will it say
Three more
about
years.
3 more years?
7 years total. It's a 10-year law.
Didn't
10 years, I didn't say
somebody
10
say 10 years?
You just said they passed a law for 10 years.
Correct. But, I mean, the state already come out at their part saying they ain't got money to do a cycle forward.
So they passed a law that they can't fund.
Ultimately.
Okay. So I'm
Yeah, no, that's ultimately
They're
what.
not gonna crap all the time.
Well, just,
Yeah.
this was an 18-year plan,
Yeah,
but
this
look
is-
at the money. This was an 18-year plan, but we
So
got
I'm not
900.
4 years.
Yeah, this settlement we're filing is basically the same that the state got from the state attorney general, right? But the state legislation passed that said we're gonna carve out this money already, lack of better word, to subsidize a budget.
So
But we're pulling it from this line item.
So for like Davidson County right now, when they've been honest about their internal audits, they have read the legislation, and so they have always had epidemiologists, they have 10. They're now stopping filling those positions because grant dollars are not coming in. So they're starting to manage their program more to mirror what's happening.
So basically, the 18 years got cut way back because the funding that was coming in from the lawsuits, the people are defaulting on those lawsuits by filing bankruptcy to not pay those lawsuits.
And the state is subsidizing their own budget.
Correct.
Okay, so the state is,
Yeah, that's the big piece that we
Already.
just got hit with.
You can't depend on
Yeah.
the pharmacies that have done this, and then they go, you can't depend on that. You have got problem, state problem, we've got a big problem in Tennessee, and we need you on to give us help out.
So-
Take it away.
So Dustin, in your opinion, we have 5 more years of sustainability with this department, with this committee, he's saying 3.
Nobody knows.
Is it somewhere between there, you pretty sure?
Nobody knows.
Let me just take the numbers. Like I said, last year we got 900,000. This year we got 400,000 out of an 18-year plan. So I mean, unless the state gives us money, then it's not going to last. You can't depend on lawsuit money to keep this going. But like Chairman Mary said, Commissioner Mary, like she said, talk to the legislators to fund this program, because if they fund it, then it's guaranteed we'll have money. It's not guaranteed to rely on lawsuits.
So,
And just like I said, the biggest number is, I mean, they said 18 years to get 900,000. This year we got 400,000. We got less than 50%. So
I just wanted to also say for public, just when the public hears this and the recording, all of our grant recipients there, the soldiers doing the work, they can hear it. There's more people talking about it and trying to get what you said, legislators working on this. That's why I asked.
it is an election issue. So when you have elections, in 2 years, other people will be in the cycle, and you have a new governor in 4 years. This is an election issue, and you need,
This year.
and we need to harp on this. You guys do, because you're working on this committee, you know that, you understand the epidemic we have of addiction, and the need for more work. These people are out there doing this work. They need help, and you can't rely on churches to do everything. I mean, I'll put working on my boss, but I'm just saying that we, as a committee, and like you say, we need that information. You foot soldiers that are out there that are not sitting at this table, start contacting your legislators and say, hey, what are we going to do? We've got an issue, we're going to need money, we need funding, and the county's trying their best to make this happen. So that's where our foot soldiers, and those are the people that live in Sumner County. So that's what, we need to move on, right, to recovery clerk. We need to do that. Did we vote on the new grant
We
application?
didn't vote, we had a motion.
We had a motion.
Made a motion.
Okay,
I made a second.
Vote we get to.
Aye.
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 Everybody, it's unanimous.
Opposed, like sign?
I don't understand what that.
I don't either, I can't even understand what you said.
Grant amendment.
Like sign.
You say aye for no.
Okay, so page 288 of your agenda, you actually have a contract amendment that's being recommended to offer to Recovery Court of Sumner County. That is not Recovery Court, not for profit. That is for Judge Lynn's Recovery Court that we gave them $500,000. So looking at it, the building renovation just started. Area has been demolished. Reviewing the contract mentioned that we are up to par. I did not include the terms furniture, fixtures, or equipment. Therefore, I'm asking to add the terminology of furniture, fixtures, and equipment into their contract.
Do we have a fee for that, or cost estimate or anything yet?
$500,000, and they just took $80,000, I think is what was paid today for the demo portion.
Oh, we're just saying they can spend it on that. I got you. Second.
But it doesn't change the $500,000.
No.
Okay, that's
All
what
I'm
I'm saying.
saying.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Risk management.
So for risk management, which starts on page 303, risk management has everything for the AEDs probably hit naloxone. So what we're running into is a problem securing the boxes. They're not all in-house at this point in time. So this just extends her contract for an additional 6 months to make sure that all the materials are in and that we can charge them.
Who's her?
Tim White.
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Opposed, like sign?
And we got one more there?
Stop it.
Who did your second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Trudy, one lane?
Opposed, like sign.
No, just